I'm now pleased to introduce Ji Dvorak. I don't think many people will not recognize this name. CMO of FIFA was for at least 6 World Cups, has implemented global initiatives in football, including the FIFA 11 plus. He's going to be talking about analysing injuries in golf. He talked last night about how he stumbled into golf. He's now got interested in golf, and he's going to tell us about some of the work that he's been doing. Ji.
Thank you very much for this very kind invitation and introduction. I am by profession neurologist, specialized highly in spine. I have published about half of my scientific career on spine papers and the other half on sports-related issue, in particular with football. So I'm still active at the Schultes Clinic. It's one of the largest orthopedic hospitals in Europe. We perform approximately 20,000 operations. I am the conservative side of this institution, and I work very closely with our Swiss Golf Medical Center. So indirectly, I am related to golf since more than 2 decades within our institution. So that has been discussed. Low fitness kills more people than diabetes or overweight and even hypertension. And they are the major milestone papers you might look at. So take picture, then you have the summary of the most important papers. I would point your attention to the last one by Robert Salis on the low physical activity and COVID mortality and morbidity. I was very impressed by this paper by Guthold and Bull, 2019, and that fitted in the concept and my experience in the past with the 11 for Health about the physical inactivity of children and young adolescents. So the mauve brown and orange, this relates to a physical inactivity more than 85 to 97% in the countries. The extreme is then Mexico, which abolished physical education in the schools many years ago, and that led to an almost exponential increase of diabetes and hypertension. So sports as a exercise or exercise as a medicine. Karin Kham, a good friend of mine, has described the exercise pill. Yes, and drug to be used, to be overused, I would say, the only one which should be overused. So 1 pill is minimum, which is 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous activities. 2 pills are much better. And if you continue to have 3 pills a day, it's about the same. So 2 pills, I would say 30 to 60 minutes a day. I try to do it with steps and whatever I can do during the day. So think about the exercise pill. Now to the golf. Paddy Robinson summarized that, what is happening in golf, more at the professional golf. So again, the lumbar spine is on the top of the complaints and injuries in professional golf, followed by the others. In PGA Tour, I received this with the courtesy of Tom Haspel. Again, lumbar spine, thoracic, and cervical spine on the top. And also the treatments during the PGA Tour. So most treatments are related to lumbar spine, thoracic, and cervical spine. Spine and sport is the most neglected part in the research in sports medicine. And I can assure you I went through it. So some examples of those who almost ended their career because of back problems. You might know this, I don't know them very well. So when I went through the literature, when I was preparing my first lecture with Andrew Murray, 2019 at Wembley, with 3,000 sports physician physiotherapists, then I have realized that the epidemiological data are far from complete. They are inconclusive, and considering the 66 million golf players, the situation should be improved. Congratulate Debbie for this prospective data. That's fantastic. I can appreciate how much work is behind. But anyway, up to 27% of recreational golfers and 58% of professionals, almost 60% of professional, low back pain. Greater age, intensity, and previous low back pain are associated, and also body mass index. Well, the backspin, I was looking at the Open. I was quite amazed when I was seeing them exercising the swing and the driving range. And this player came to my attention because this player during the swing has minimal lateral bending. And this is something which can cause the degeneration of the intervertebral disc. I have done a lot of studies on the clinical biomechanics in vitro and in vivo on different patient population, and the lateral bending and rotation is one of the major aspects. I have published a number of papers and textbooks on spine, so I am really challenged now to get into the golf and spine and to use the expertise I have in the spinal research and also in the sports medicine. I had the privilege to be with Roald Barr at the International Olympic Committee consensus meeting on registration and surveillance of the injuries in different sports to have the same system, same data. We started with football many years to get the really true epidemiological data. And soon after, with Andrew Murray and top people from the golf communities, we published the International Consensus Statement on methods for recording and reporting of epidemiological data on injuries and illnesses in golf. And I will present you some of the first data. We performed over the last season in 2011 a cross-sectional study on characteristic and prevalence of musculoskeletal complaints in 1,170 male golfers in United States with the question, does skill level or injury prevention makes a difference? The surprising in United States, we recruited, I will come to this a little later, you have here the authors, so please no pictures because the paper has been submitted, not published yet. So aim of the project, of the golf project, was the establishment of sound epidemiological data on injuries and complaints related to training and playing golf based off the IOC and the golf consensus. Objective, to describe the characteristic and prevalence of musculoskeletal complaints of a large group of non-professional golfers, and to compare golfers with and without or with different skill levels, with and without low back pain, and who did and who did not perform specific prevention exercises. So we performed the study in United States and Switzerland. We recruited in United States the golfers through the Titleist Performance Institute, and surprisingly, we had only 3% of women participating and 97% of male. That's amazing. Are women not playing golf in United States? That's a surprising fact for me. While in Switzerland, we recruited the golfers through the Swiss Golf magazine, and we had 55% male and 45% female. So we will compare those two studies and see what are the differences. So I have to analyze what is happening in US that females have not participated. So study population, and this is only the male in United States. We are currently analyzing the data from Switzerland, male and female, but to have an homologous group, we just took the US. The players started to play golf on average with 18 years. The mean golf handicap was 9, plus minus, mean standard deviation in the brackets. The handicap, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, so we have really a good representation. 67% were pure recreational, sub-elite, and only 1% elite, and 12% never competed in golf. I would be in this group who never competed, but play with pleasure. This is interesting data. How many exercise pills on average honorary minister take it for Scotland? 11 hours per week, the one who participated in this study. On golf course, obviously, on average, they play probably 9 holes or 12 holes a week. Driving range, 2.3 hours. Putting, short game, and golf fitness training. 11 hours per week. This is perfect. Use it as a marketing tool, because this is fantastic. You have sufficient exercise pills a week. So if you look at the medical history and lifetime prevalence, just look at this, that shows the data. I don't want to repeat because we are slightly over time, and I want to finish after 20 minutes or before. And those are, again, the major complaints. This is the prevalence of 7 days prior they fulfill the questionnaire. So that's the immediate complaints of the baseline result questionnaire. On the top in red, again, the spine, followed by knee, hip, shoulder, and so on. But the spine is predominant complaint of the golfing population. Fitness and warm-up. No specific fitness or training for golf, about the half of the players. Warm-up, I would say a good proportion. Majority of the golfers are doing golf warm-up prior going to the course or training, practicing. Fitness training is also quite good, about half. And when it comes to injury prevention, yes, only 27%. So prevention is still not in the mind of the golfers, but maybe they mix it up with warm-up or prevention. So we are looking currently in the details. The injury prevention, that was an interesting findings. Those golfers who had more complaints, they performed prevention programs. Our hypothesis is that they wake up if they have complaints, they are thinking about prevention. It's our general experience, or as physicians, that people start to think about prevention once they get the illness. My philosophy as a clinician, as a doctor, think about disease as long as you are healthy, and maintain your health and keep you healthy and fit. So in summary, the study population consisted of 1,170 male golfers. The prevalence, and this is the most important finding. So of course, we compared the prevalence with the prevalence in normal daily life and daily normal life of normal population. There is sufficient data from the different databases. So the prevalence and severity of musculoskeletal complaints was similar to the everyday life when compared to the golfer group. So this is fantastic. We can say, basically, golf is safe sport. It's the same like the general population, the complaints. And it reflects, the low back pain is about the same prevalence and incidence in the general population than we saw in the golfing population. This is actually the most important findings, and keep it in mind, golf is safe. That's also, Andrew and Honorary Minister, for your marketing purposes, very important findings. What this study adds? The prevalence is similar as in everyday life. Low back pain is the most prominent, and only 27% of golfers are performing some kind of preventive exercises. How this study might affect future research, practice, or even policy. Understanding is the number one. The golf at the amateur level does not appear to have a significant injury burden to compare to everyday life. The prospective studies, and they are on the go, I didn't mention it in our methodology. We have the baseline data, and then we follow the golfers with questionnaires every week for the entire season. Fantastic, we use the smartphones, the golfers just get the app, and every week they just report how many hours they played, how many hours they train, what kind of complaints they have, if they take medication, painkillers, and so on. So those prospective studies are on the way to determine the incidence over playing season, to analyze the risk factors and health factors, as we have also the data on illnesses. So this is what we are doing now, and this will give us a really reliable data to think how we can design prevention studies or golf-specific training to reduce the general complaints and improve the health status in the golfing population. And if we, and I say we with all of you, if we can achieve that, then with good conscience, you can promote the golf as a health-enhancing leisure activity. That would be actually the final aim. And as Mari showed this, we trust in God, but otherwise in the facts and figures. I belong to the category who trust facts and figures, particularly in science, so no beliefs. So I would like to acknowledge all the collaborators of this study. Up to now, we did not receive any funding from anybody. We will need funding if we continue with this research program. The final aim would be to design a preventive program, which I would call the 18 exercises to improve the general health status and reduce the complaints and also the injury in golf. And I will finish with this slide. It's anecdotal, but patient stories are always very impressive. This is an 80-year-old man. As a young man, he was a single handicap, passionate golfer, living in a big city, kind of polluted city, and very little physical activity. You know, the people in the silver age, they think, well, it's they slow down in everything, but I am against that. That should not be, and we have seen that on the last slide from Andrew, that shouldn't be the case. So 2019, he invited me to play golf with him, and I played with him, I walked, and after a few holes, he was so tired that he couldn't continue to walk. And he apologized that he was kind of short of breath and didn't feel comfortable, so he left. During the COVID time, that completely changed his life. He moved out of the big city, polluted, to a golf course in beautiful nature. And he started increasingly over the pandemic, over the 2 years, he started that he came to playing golf every day. He's 80 years old. I met him about 2-3 months ago, and he invited me to play golf with him again, and I could not believe he walked as fast as I did, and he played 18 holes. Fantastic. He even gave me private lessons, and I congratulate him to that. So the conclusion is never too early to start, or never too early to continue. So with this, I would like to thank you for this very kind invitation. Andrew, here on your poster with the benefit of football. I used the time during the COVID to write a new book, completely different what I have published in the past. I actually wrote this book about the health and health benefits with the title Health Brings Wealth. And as I saw on your slide, you also use this golden key. So unlock the key to a healthy life with golf. Thank you very much for your attention. 19 minutes.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm aware that we've gone a little bit over, but we've had our esteemed panel sitting here all the session, so we must ask a couple of questions. I just wonder whether we have any burning questions from the audience. We may take one, possibly two, and then over coffee, I'm sure you'll be able to approach speakers that you've got a particular question to ask. Someone at the back.
Scotland, if you had one thing that you could focus the bang for the buck, and you might have to take out the Daily Mile because I think that might be what you say first, what would be the second thing that really is giving you the most impact for the time put into it to make the changes for Scotland?
So can I just check, do you mean what has already made the difference or what would I think make the difference going forward? So what's already made the difference is active transport, I think. So what we've really managed to do is get people walking and cycling more. And what would make the difference going forward is if we can get more women cycling, frankly. About 75% of women in Scotland don't cycle. And we could, that to me is like a low-hanging fruit. We could definitely get more women cycling. We need to think about why they're not cycling. We need to think about the barriers. We need to think about, you know, making it safer and easier. Some of the, you know, challenges that you might face cycling in a city, but I am absolutely sure that we could improve that situation, and I'm determined to do it. We've got the World Championships coming to Scotland next year, and we've seen a real increase in bike ownership during the pandemic. If we can't encourage more people to cycle at this moment in time, I don't know when we can.
Thank you. One quick question. Patrick.
Yeah, one question for Debbie that it may apply to everyone. You know, Debbie, we're very proud to have with us the Olympians. You know, that's very, very important. But the question is, and the same question I've had for 25 years within the IOC, how we can transfer the academic knowledge to the field of play. The question to Debbie, and we raised it at the Olympians, what's now? How we can transfer everything that we said today to the field of play. And that is the most important thing, Andrew, you know that, you know. We're all scientists, we're full of knowledge, academic knowledge, now we have to pass it to the field of play.
I think Debbie's going to have to write a book on the answer here, but Debbie?
So again, much of the data that and the things that we've seen are not completely new. Some of it is new, but it's not completely new, and it is about that messaging and getting the interventions in early. And I don't have the answer, but there are knowledge translation colleagues that I think as injury prevention researchers we need to work a lot more closely with in order to try and translate that knowledge and get that information out. Again, many doctors promote working with professional teams. Some of these results, they won't be surprising, but it's what are they able to actually do within their practice, and it is about knowledge translation. I'm afraid I don't have the answer, but we need to collaborate more, not just with other injury prevention researchers, but also other disciplines, so looking at knowledge translation.
Patrick, I have a comment to your question. We have to differentiate the top performance athletes, like in the Olympic Games, and the recreational athletes. I have little experience with the professional footballers, but I have a huge experience with recreational footballers. And this is where I'm interested in, and we all should be. The Olympic athletes are different population than the recreational. And with recreational, I have made the experience during the career at the football governing body that the governing body must sponsor and support the implementation. Then it works. We implemented preventive programs on reducing the injury in football by 50%. We have shown that the platform can be used to improve the general health, particularly in youth generation, the football for health, but it must be sponsored. You cannot do it on an individual basis. It has to be coordinated, and if you I always said you need 3 partners: government, the sports association or sporting association in the country, and the governing body with all the experience and the scientific data. If you have those 3 on the same table, including the scientists, then it works. If you work individually, it never works. And if you get even now, I would include, I didn't do it at that time, WHO on the same table, then you are powerful. Each of you cannot achieve that. If you have the teamwork, you will achieve that.
Thank you. Well, what a great start to this conference. I'd just like to reward the speakers with the internationally accepted currency of golf, the golf ball. I have a Golf and Health golf ball here and a pack of 3 golf balls for each member of the thing. But I'd like you to thank Fiona, Marie, Andrew, Debbie, and Yuri for their contribution this morning. Thank you.